Now, you see, some people will say, well, they come over here, they take our jobs. But what appears to be happening is they come over here and they take the jobs that we don't want to do. That we would much prefer to actually do nothing. Sit around and watch Jeremy Bloomin' Kyle all day. British Chambers of Commerce say, too many young people are unable to read, write or communicate properly and do not work hard. You almost don't need to ask the question, why do employers prefer people from overseas? That's the reason right there, in black and white. The Director General of the British Chambers of Commerce, David Frost, not that one, said business leaders knew that there was a problem with youth unemployment, but they couldn't afford to ignore cheaper, skilled foreign workers. Now, if we were watching a David Attenborough programme about, lions stalking the Serengeti plains, please don't write in if lions aren't on the Serengeti. I don't know what I'm talking about, but it's, it's nature, survival of the fittest. Animals going out and fighting to survive. Well, you couldn't really call fighting for survive sitting on your sofa in the squalor of your own lounge with your feet up, smoking joints and watching Trisha all day as fighting to survive. That's almost the antithesis of it. Mr. Frost, the Director General of the British Chamber of Commerce, said employers needed the best people and identified what he said were the problems with too many of Britain's youth. He said businesses expected young people to come forward who are able to read, write and communicate. Well, I mean, just the communicate part you'd think would be important, and that they have a strong work ethic, and too often it's not the case. With our British youth, is it possible that it's not the fault of immigrants that are coming over here and taking our jobs? It's actually the fault of the young people in this country who have left the field wide open for it to be exploited by others. I mean, okay, you could say it's understandable. It might, if you squinted, be understandable that people might not be able to read. They might have problems with reading. Equally, they might have problems with writing, for whatever reason. But communicating, wanting to work, well, that's just a lack of application, isn't it? That's just a lack of effort. This fella, the Director General of the British Chambers of Commerce, said there's a stream of highly able Eastern European migrants who are able to take those jobs, and that's why they're taking them on. They're skilled, they speak good English, and more importantly, they want to work. Holy smoke, people are coming here from Eastern Europe, and they speak better English than what we do. His comments were in response to disclosures ahead of the speech by Ian Duncan Smith, which urged business leaders to take on young people coming off welfare and not just fall back on labour from abroad. Well, if you were running a business, would you want to try to coax some spotty, pluky youth from this country into pretty please with sugar on top, turning up on time? Or would you want somebody who was straining at the leash to start work? Well, it's no contest, is it? Yeah, you know what, I mean, yeah, no one would suggest that the amount of money that you get from being on the dole can afford you a life of luxury, because that's absolutely not true, except for the time part. What you do have in abundance is time, because you don't have to actually do anything for it. And if you speak to anybody that's in work, the one thing that even more than money, that they want most keenly is time.
Yeah.
And so, you get used to having all of your time. Even if you haven't got much money, you can't afford to buy a car or go on holiday or buy a new pair of trainers or, whatever it might be, or Sky Television or anything like that. Apart from these cases every now and again that the Daily Mail hops up and down, they've found somebody who's got a flat screen TV who's on the dole, and they'll stick it on their front page. But, it's not a life of right. It really isn't living on that kind of way. And, I've spent much of my life living on $5,000 a year, so I know what it's like.
Yeah,
and it's not much fun, apart from the time part. And, and no one, and once you've lived, like that, you just, time just disappears. And the thought of getting up at 7 o'clock in the morning, 5 days a week, to go and spend 8 hours doing something you don't particularly like for a bit more money, well, forget that. I'll just make less and do less. And it seems a bit unfair, really, to put the onus on people who run businesses to pick from a workforce that isn't that interested in working just because they happen to have been born here. Turn up smart, look the interviewer in the eye, and try not to spit on his carpet. I'll give you those tips for free. Now, is Nigel Farage right? He was speaking there in the news, and he said that there's too many people chasing too few jobs, and that government policy on immigration has led to difficulty. Now, is it the government's policy on immigration that's led to difficulty, or are the British Chamber of Commerce right in thinking that it's just our feckless, idle, shiftless, lazy youths who can't be bothered to get up and get a job that is the problem? Or does that make me analogous to Hitler himself for even mentioning such a thing? Too many young people are unable to read, write or communicate properly and don't want to work hard, a business leader has claimed. And you know what? It's not the first time that somebody's said this. The Director General of the British Chambers of Commerce said business leaders knew that there was a problem with youth unemployment, but they couldn't afford to ignore cheaper skilled foreign workers. Now, if you were running a business and the government said, well, would you mind trying and persuading these youths over here who I don't really want to work? They don't have any experience of work, they don't have any experience of showing up on time or trying or anything, really. Could you employ those people rather than this lot over here who are straining at the leash, desperate to get any work, and will arrive early and leave late and be diligent at all times? Ignore those people because they didn't happen to be born here. Well, if you were running your own business, you'd have to be off your chump to agree to that. That doesn't seem like the way to cure the nation's ills. It doesn't seem like that's the way to improve youth unemployment. The way to improve youth unemployment is for the youths that are unemployed to get off their collective bottoms and do something about it. Or have I become a Nazi in my old age? Am I reading the Daily Mail too much? Employers needed the best people, said the British Chambers of Commerce, and identified the problems with too many of Britain's youth. They said that young people come to them who are unable to read, write and communicate. Is that possible? And that's why people are choosing Eastern Europeans in large numbers, because, surprisingly enough, in a second language, they can communicate more effectively than those who have English as a first language and communicate almost exclusively in grunts. On the other hand, this message says, where are all these kids that leave school and can't read and write? I've never seen one, in capital letters. Prove me wrong. This government are liars, it says. Well, there's something going on. What's the right of it? We're all living longer. No one should worry about pensions because only the rich can afford to retire. The rest of us public-private types will have to work till we drop. That's what the government are not confirming. If you're running a business, who are you going to choose? I mean, it's obvious, isn't it? Isn't it really rather suggesting that immigrants are coming over here and they're taking our jobs? That's actually not what's happening. It's like nobody is to blame for anything. Every occurrence is due to an external locus of control. It's never anybody's fault. Oh, I can't find a job because immigrants are coming over here, and so why get off my sofa and go out and look for one? Because, what's the point? Or am I just being too harsh?